Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and today I've got a cool tool alert, and it is the Calculated Industries Air Shim. And what this thing actually does is inflate up like a small balloon, but it's got a durable material that allows it to lift about 300 pounds, which actually isn't all that much when you think about it, because it's approximately 6 inches 6 inches by 6 inches, which means it's like 36 square inches of area. And if you add 300 pounds on here, we distribute that over the surface area, because the air inside is going to behave much like a fluid, meaning it's going to disperse the energy throughout the volume. So it's going to be about, I don't know, 8.3 pounds per square inch, which isn't a lot. A human blowing on something like into a balloon maybe can get up to 2 pounds. You get much more than that and you're probably going to burst blood vessels in your head. But so we're not talking about huge pressures here. It's kind of surprising. And then that allows it to use very small materials, or thin materials, which allows it to squeeze under things. I'll measure that in a moment. But I wanted to show you what this thing actually does, in case you've never seen one. It's basically a airbag, and it's got a inflating bulb on one end with a one-way valve on the bulb, and another one-way valve here that you can push to release the pressure of the thing. And then it gets very thin, so you can slide it under something and then pump it up. And we'll measure that in a moment. But basically, this is a really handy tool for all kinds of things where you need to just spread stuff apart just a little bit. It shows on here windows, doors, appliances, cabinets, windows and doors. Actually, doors especially. If you ever hung a door, and it's just a pain because you have a hard time kind of balancing the door. You're trying to do the hinges and somebody's trying to hold it, and they start complaining and their fingers hurt and they're wiggling it around and you pinch yourself in the hinge. Anyway, this makes it very easy. And because it's, if you're using it on the floor, because it just requires this bulb to be depressed, you can, use your work boots to step on it. No problem there. You just want to be careful of the tread. So, if I was using this, of course, I'd grab my cowboy boots because they're nice and smooth, and then I'm not going to damage the bulb. However, the cost of these things, they make this Calculated Industries, I found 3 of them, 3 different versions. They make one that's smaller. It's good to about 150 pounds. They make one that's bigger, almost twice this size. It's good to about 500 pounds. And this sells right now in the big boxes, where I am anyway, for about 16, 17 bucks is all, which is kind of amazing. It's also a locksmith tool. If you've ever locked your keys in the car, the first thing they may try is to insert one of these air shims in between the door frame and the window, or the door frame and the door, depending on the kind of car. And then they just pump it up. And when they do, it gives enough of a space that you then can squeeze in something, say like a wire, to reach down and grab hold of the lock mechanism or something. This is something I have, not that I break into cars very often, but this is that Blue Point drain cleaner, if you will, that I used before. It's actually really handy for reaching into things, but what I've discovered is it's very hard to, because of the shape of this thing, it flexes. You can't aim it. So what I can do is I can take a piece of wire like this and just wrap it around. This is a pretty stiff wire. Wrap it around, and then that allows me some bending of it. And if I need to bend it in a particular place, I can always double it up or something to give it a strong arc, and then I can kind of customize the shape, but I still have that grabby thing on the end. So that's just a quick way to try to make some adjustments to what would be a straight tool. couple of other things. Many times you're using pry bars. I've got finishing pry bars. I've got, you know, standard. Here's a snap-on. Got to have a snap-on in a video. Other ones, sometimes I might use something like this for a door, where I'd wedge this under the door frame and then step on this like a pedal to try to raise it, and I can actually slide it sideways. It works out pretty well. That's the way I have done it. Finishing pry bars, things like that, that allow you some sort of dexterity when trying to move a heavier object. It also points out cabinets and appliances, especially if you're leveling appliances, crazy ones like washing machines and dishwashers. And even if this is 300 pounds and you're raising one corner of it, you're raising roughly a fourth of it. It can become a half if you raise the other half, or the other side off the ground as well. But that means 4 times 300 is 1,200 pounds if you were only raising 1/4. If you raise half of something, you can, you know, raise a 600-pound, half of a 600-pound object, which there aren't very many of those. I mean, now you're talking pianos and big stuff like that. So it's pretty amazing. And then if you did happen to wreck it, it's not the end of the world. It's not an heirloom tool by any means. So I wanted to show you a quick demo of this thing. What I've got is a bathroom scale, and it's zeroed out. And I'm going to just slide this in here like this, slide it under the wood. So it's wedged under this piece of wood. Get it in a little further. Let me let the air out. That might make a difference. There we go. So I can slide it in pretty easily. And I've just got 2 C-clamps on this, or adjustable clamps. Now some clamps, you might have these in your shop, very common to have these trigger clamps. You can pop out this screw here and flip this over and drop the screw into this side. And by doing that, you end up reversing the thing and ending up with something like this, which becomes a spreader. But obviously you've got a lot of space right here that you're going to have to deal with. So it doesn't obviously fit under a refrigerator and allow you to spread it. But just be aware that they do build those into a lot of things. Some of them, I think, DeWalt on their newer ones actually has a push button to make that much faster. But anyway, so I'm at 0 here. Maybe turn that a little bit. And I'm just going to start pumping. So 1 pump, and I'm at 10, 20, 30, 45, 65, 90, 110, 135, 155, 170, 190. I'm over 200 pounds right there. I don't know how many I forgot to count, like 10, 15 squishes on the ball. So I can do whatever. It's nice and firm back here. But anyway, I'm able to make whatever adjustment, and I can do this. If you watch this, I'm going to squeeze very slowly, so I can actually raise it just a hair. I mean almost sub-pounds, which transfers into extremely small movements. And if it's too much, I can let some out and start again. So that's how effective this thing is. And then you just slide it back out. Now let's take some measurements of it. Get rid of my testing apparatus. So, what do we have here? Let's take a look at it. Here's the size. There are 2 sizes. You know, there's the internal and the external. Inside looks like around 5.5, 6 inches. That's actually what the company says. Outside we're looking at, you know, roughly 7 inches by 6 inches. Nothing exciting there. Let's take a look at it. I've built a little measuring device, just a small Empire combination square with an Empire ruler. Let's delete all the air, or delete, take out all the air, drop this down. I'll run it across this way. So you can see it's essentially flat. I'll go to level my measuring device here, this push down. So there's the thickness. If you look at that, it's about, I don't know, 3/16 maybe of an inch. And that's, I'm getting some flex, but close enough. 1/8 to 3/16 is what I'm actually working with in terms of the minimum. And then for maximum, I'll take this and pump it up. Look at that. I think the specs on the website say about 2.5 inches, but let's try it here. Push that down, presuming there's kind of a flat surface there. Somewhere around there. That's about 1.5 inches here. Keep pumping. Try this and level it. There. Just right on the surface. Get my level here leveled with the actual measurement. About there. And oh, look at that. You saw it here. Exactly 2.5 inches. So, they're right. Anyway, that is my cool tool alert. The Calculated Industries Air Shim. I will give you a warning though. I have heard second, third hand that if you have one of these floating around, you should have a reason for it. Let's say you just had one sitting on the passenger seat of your truck and you're driving around and the police stop you for some reason and see it there. These are used by folks who break into cars and those who break into cars legally. So it's one of those that I just have heard third hand that you want to be able to explain that you have an actual use for these things. And with that, Doc out.